So basically, all I've done is just I've made the song make more sense. Now, this is the stream that I did, and I'm really happy with it. I'm actually going to work on this and finish this into a song. So, hella fucking yeah, we did it. We finally broke the dubstep spell. I don't know what this is. It's like a liquid D&B type shit. I don't know. But either way, it's sounding dope. I'm happy with it, so I'm going to move on with it. But I just want to explain how I went from just having a bunch of sounds that weren't really making sense and then turn it into, you know, a track that now makes sense. Okay, you a-holes. Now, so if you remember correctly from the stream anyway, this is what we left off with. We had this. Alright? Let's take a listen. Okay, that sounds cool, but it doesn't really make sense. So this was me just sound designing. So I was just sound designing, sort of throwing an idea, sort of like a pattern out. But then when I actually sat down and thought about it, and actually, you know, really like thought about a pattern that I wanted, we've got this. Okay, yeah, so you can understand, but you can hear this makes more sense than this. Okay, and obviously ignore the fact that the sub bass here and I've got like an ARP and shit, ignore that, we're just listening to the growls, right? This makes more sense. Now, how did I make this make more sense? Now, it was real simple. I initially kept the same idea. So this is all the same shit just sampled out, but I've just that's why I love to sample, because you can rearrange shit. You can keep the original sound, but add this little part here is part of this, but I've just added it underneath, and it sounds like a whole different growl. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? That's why I love to sample shit out, especially my growls anyway. So I initially, let me fucking do this. I kept the same idea, okay? Initially, I have the first hit, which is the same. Right? That's the same. That's the same. It sounds a little bit different when you sample it out, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. So, but then instead of keeping the cool beans, which this part didn't really make sense, right? This is this. Right, so instead what I did was, once this is sampled out, to make it make more sense, I just had this hit 2 times afterwards. So oh, I've accidentally fucked up the arrangement. Fuck it. So do you understand? So that instead of this, did the same, and then a good tip to make it make sense is you just work in 2 bars. You work in 2 bars, and then the typical dubstep thing is you have the first growl hit again on the start of the 3rd bar. So, what the fuck was that? I made like a little pattern. Right, and this is repeated. So this repeats for 4 bars. So now this automatically makes sense. It's like a call and response type shit, right? Which I still don't know how that really works, but I guess this is the call, bang. This is the response, bang. Same thing, calling, responding, and then the same thing. I just honestly repeated it again for 8 bars. But the only slight difference is with this sample, I used the tool, the slip tool, and I can just control what, like, where the audio starts. So I just did that in here. So see, this part is different, right? This part here is different to this part, but it's the exact same sound. And you can just make cool and awesome patterns with just putting samples in different spots or moving it with the slip tool. And here, different. Only thing that's different here is I've taken out the Reese wall and I've left the fast parts. And same thing, I added this underneath as like a layer. And I've got a little 1 bar fill. And guys, that's really it, right? That's it. I've then just, bang, copied and pasted the exact same thing with slight adjustments, little movements within the audio and the samples, just to create different grooves and different sounds, but it's all the same samples and the same audio. Only difference is towards the end of this 8 bars, I've got the rising Chris growl. That real awesome shit. See, you can have room to experiment and do whatever the fuck you want in this end part, because this end part doesn't have to make sense because this is leading into a break. So you want this part, you want the listener in this part to be going, holy shit, right before the break. You know what I mean? That's going to keep the listener listening, and it also, this now groove is stuck in the listener's head, and it's going to make them go, oh shit, that was a good song, or have you heard this song from blah 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 blah? It's got like a real awesome beat, like, you know what I mean? So our job is to try to capture the listener, like, while it all makes sense. Now this took me a couple goes, and it might take you a couple goes as well. That's normal. I don't think you'll ever get it in the first go, and if you do, then like, good on ya, because I've never been able to arrange a drop in the first go ever, like ever. It's just not going to happen, because the way I see it is, you might be able to do it the first time and it sounds cool, but I can guarantee you can do it again and make it sound a little bit better, and then maybe again, and then maybe even again. Like, so that's why with the new FL update, you can have different arrangements, have 3 or 4 arrangements, and then the best one, you go with that one. Even if you have to ask a couple people, hey, which one do you think sounds better? You know what I mean? Okay, so basically, hopefully that helps explain, like, you know, how to sort of arrange your dubstep a little bit better so it makes a little bit more sense. Now, I know some of you might ask, man, Friendly Fire, like, who gives a shit? Like, you always say it's dubstep, it's dubstep. That's a good point. I'm a big believer of that. Just always remember, it's got to also make sense musically. Like, you know, it can't just be a literal random sounds, because then the listener, they might think you're a literal, like, 3-year-old just, like, banging a keyboard with, like, one finger and shit. So, yeah, I hope this kind of helps. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me. But yeah, I'll see you in the next online mastering part 2. This has been Track from Scratch 740.